Well, here's the kind of story that'll make you cringe. An executive walks into a meeting and announces that he's just spent $17 million on their first AI platform. Sounds impressive. There's just one problem. They have no idea what to do with it. So they scramble to find anyone who can justify this massive investment. And when they finally reach out to their contact center team, the response is immediate. Oh, we've been waiting for this budget for years. We know exactly how to put AI to work. This isn't a cautionary tale about impulse buying. It reveals a common misconception about AI in the contact center. You see, most leaders think that you need sophisticated, fully integrated systems before AI can become useful. But here's what this executive discovered and what many organizations are now learning. AI can deliver value even in the most basic contact center setups. According to Worldwide Technology's updated contact center maturity model, AI can deliver value at every single level, from basic voice-only operations all the way up to intelligent automation. The key isn't waiting until you're ready. It's understanding what AI can actually do for your specific business outcomes right now. Well, today I'm joined by Patrick Bond and Morgan Laville from WWT's contact center practice. Patrick's going to walk us through real-world AI applications at each maturity level, while Morgan explains why AI isn't a magic wand. It's something that enhances what's already working. From auto call summarization that saves agents 2 minutes per call, to proactive customer engagement that turns your contact center into a revenue generator. I'm Robb Boyd, and this is Worldwide Technology Presents Research.
WWT Presents Research.
Patrick, what are you doing for Worldwide Technology these days?
I'm a principal solution architect in the GSNA team in our contact center practice. We handle every single contact center opportunity that comes across Worldwide's desk. So whether it's, 5 agents that want to, re-up their UCCX to, hey, we have these, 10,000 agents that we need to migrate from on-prem to cloud. It is still a specialized enough kind of technology that they come to us to help, kind of figure out what's going on.
Well, hey, Morgan, welcome back. Glad to have you again as well.
Morgan Laville, nice to meet everybody. Business Development Manager within our digital experience practice, focusing on contact centers. My role as a BD within our customer experience practice, focusing on contact center, is also to reach far and wide across digital practice, but also the rest of Worldwide within GSNA. So we have employee experience that include unified communications, productivity, meetings, digital experience management, and user computing. I can go on. We have a tremendous pull through with those sub practices, and then also the rest of GSNA within, for example, data center, security, AI, which is a hot topic for today. So I'm the Swiss Army knife. I understand how we impact other areas, and having a network within Worldwide is pivotal to understand how we bring one Worldwide to our customers.
What would you consider to be fundamentally different about how we're approaching contact center now in this age of AI versus how we may have done it before?
It's something that was historically seen as something that when you reach a level 5 or the highest form of maturity, that's where you can really dive in and really invest some time and effort into it. But that's not necessarily the case, right? AI can be inserted at any level of the maturity curve, depending on what you're looking to accomplish. So real world implementations that we've done have shown us that you don't have to check every other box before exploring AI. And if you're being targeted with your application of it and how you're investing in this space, you can see value regardless of your maturity.
So that is a shift. AI can be very useful at all stages, but it hasn't fundamentally changed the notion of what you guys speak to when it comes to the maturity curve.
Because the change there is, hey, what changed in the last year or so that all of a sudden was like, oh, you can use AI at any kind of level, is really the maturity of AI. Our approach to contact center and what's important to them and their business processes hasn't changed, because contact centers are operating the same way that they've always operated in terms of structure and outcome. But AI as a generalized product has matured so that now it's much more consumable and it's much more cost effective for those maybe lower value or less sophisticated use cases. It's not dissimilar with any technology. First comes out, it's very expensive, right? Oh, I can't afford that big TV. And then all of a sudden now you're going to Walmart and getting a 65-inch TV for like $500, right? So you're still watching the same stuff on it, but it's more readily available and makes more sense for every type of use case. So that change over the last year or so is really more about the maturity of AI technologies and how they're deployed and usable or used versus anything to do with our maturity model updates around contact center.
One of the things we get really excited about what AI can do for us, but we start conflating it with other things. Do you mind explaining what you consider to be the difference between AI and automation and where that importance lies?
Yeah, absolutely. So organizations today are really doubling down on their AI strategy and the outcomes that it can deliver, right? But a lot of times the outcomes that we're talking about or that we're emphasizing are really automation use cases that AI can absolutely enhance. Automation is more the how and the why, driving efficiencies, if this, then that, the rules behind it, the workflows, the processes. And within contact centers, how do you streamline some of the day-to-day mundane tasks from an AI an agent's perspective, right? So after call work, right? Routing certain calls a certain way based off certain logic, taking a lot of the day-to-day smaller tasks and offloading that so that you can pivot and bring more dynamic responses into those higher use cases, high risk use cases. However, AI does play a role, like you mentioned, into automation, where it adds a layer of intelligence on top of that, extending the value that automation can bring. AI is only as good as the foundations and the workflows that it's built upon. So organizations that are focused on breaking down data silos and really enhancing their foundational workflows see the most value out of AI. When those basics are in place, AI can drive significant improvements to what automation can do for you and drive better digital experiences, no matter where you are in the maturity curve. But you have to have both to have the best experience that you can deliver.
I think of automation as being something very deterministic. You have known knowns that you expect to get a consistent outcome when these things are applied. I think of AI as being certainly not deterministic. They have temperature settings, which are going to give a certain degree of randomness with the outputs. And one way to test this is you can send the exact same information to a frontier model, yourself, and see how you get a different answer every time, even if you're asking the same model with the exact same inputs. And sometimes that is good because I think AI helps us with problems that involve thinking or reasoning and where that's appropriate. But you certainly don't want to confuse that with an automation capability, which you get the same result every time because that's what you want. That's what you can trust and build a business around, perhaps, for a certain process. But AI now is, of course, speeding these things up, making certain parts of automation, I think, easier to approach, combined together in the right applications, I think can do a lot for you.
At the end of the day, it's really just what's the outcome that I'm shooting for? And then we can help our customers get there. So call it whatever you want. It's you tell me what you're trying to accomplish and we can find something to help you get there. Who cares what you call it, right? As long as we give you the tools to succeed.
Patrick, you had mentioned the $17 million example of AI decision-making that I thought had a good story behind it.
As soon as I heard this story from one of our customers, I knew I was going to be repeating it a lot. So because it's kind of interesting to put it politely, but I think it is indicative of what we were talking about of what is this distinction between AI and automation. What am I really trying to accomplish? People are going out there, and especially at an executive level, the people with buying power, not necessarily you or I, but the people who can go out and actually make these decisions. They're going out and say, we need to invest in AI. We need to invest in AI. Okay, what does that mean, right? That's almost like saying 5 years ago, I need to buy cloud. Well, cloud is not a thing that you can just go buy, right? It's a product, it's a strategy, that kind of thing. AI is very similar, but that doesn't mean people understand that distinction, much like we were talking about with AI and automation. Yeah. So we do have one customer where somebody with buying power went out and they bought a certain AI tool without demoing or testing it with the larger team. And they invested $17 million into it. And, the joke I tell is, well, first I'd like to, get a hold of that salesperson because they're phenomenal and we're signing them right now. But then, you look at it and you realize this person just invested $17 million into a tool. It doesn't know what to do with it, right? They just went out and said, wow, this is neat. We have to have that. And so they were scrambling a bit. This executive was scrambling a bit to find justification internally for this $17 million purchase. I mean, that's a big investment, and they were flailing a little bit until they ran into my contact and friend at this customer who was in the contact center, and then said, "Oh, well, let me tell you, I got a million use cases for you that this AI tool can absolutely help, right now today without changing a single one of our business process." Because one of those other common misconceptions that you have with AI isn't just that it's this one tool, is that also that it can come in, replace and update everything, and that it's magical. It's not. AI, if used properly, is an augmentation of existing business processes. It's not generating new ways of doing business. It's not disrupting anything, right? It's taking your desired outcomes and processes and supporting you to make them more efficient. in some cases, that might mean that we no longer need a human interaction in that area because we can refocus it somewhere else because that's probably some sort of automation where it's a known outcome. But if there is the point where it has to get to a person for decision making or actual handholding, then it can support those people. So depending upon what you're trying to accomplish, AI, the general AI, can be a great investment into your contact center. But once my friend walked this executive through all of the ways that you could use it, like, oh, thank God, I finally have this beachhead within the company, so I can start to justify this, and then this will be the shining star of where I can, take these to other groups. And we're finding that's not uncommon in other companies either, because so much has changed, and whether it's outsourced or consolidated or moved around or whatever. One of the constants out there is the contact center. That's kind of grown in importance over the last few years as there's fewer and fewer touch points or standing applications within a company. And so the contact center kind of is a bit of a sin eater for all of those interactions. And it's standing up and stable for all of your data, all of your interactions. And so you can really start there as the center for your use case and then grow from there.
I'd like to get a little bit more practical. I'll review the current contact center maturity model, which at one level, you've both said it really hasn't changed, but level 1 is voice-only operations. And we got level 2 that adds self-service through automated voice interactions. Then level 3 brings in different channels of communication, but they're operating somewhat in silos. Level 4 is where we start getting to omni-channel experiences. And then level 5 is adding intelligent automation and more proactive customer engagement. The big thing seems to be you're both saying, hey, this still holds true, the maturity model. It's how is AI affecting every level versus just being saved till you work yourself up. And the big story seems to be, hey, don't wait on AI. Maybe wait a little bit longer than your friend did there, Patrick. I thought it might be good to kind of talk through how we move through these levels. I'm at level 1. I'd like to see how AI could help me at level 1, but even help me move up toward level 2.
I think one of the goals we were hoping to get across with this update isn't just, you can use AI at a level, but to also kind of show people you don't have to wait. You are ready for it, and also don't be scared of what, because again, if they don't know, they just see AI as this big monster and they don't understand it, right? Well, we can help break it down for you, and it's not revolutionizing your business. It's not changing anything. It's actually allowing you to do business in the way that you've been trying to do, but a lot of the inefficiencies and kind of the repetitive tasks that are dragging you down a bit, those can be taken care of. So you can actually focus on the things that you've been hoping to focus on to really update or drive or transform your business.
Moving past level 1, I was kind of calling this foundation building. What's the starting point for AI opportunities if you're at this level?
So this is a really good use case of what I was talking about. You don't have to wait. You don't have to worry that I'm not ready for it, right? You absolutely can be ready for some sort of artificial intelligence or automation within your contact center. Just because you have a very straightforward and simple contact center doesn't mean you don't have things that can be improved. And so in this kind of case, we'd be looking at really more efficiencies in existing processes of how we could do something, right? If you are just taking calls over the phone through a simple DTMF menu, we don't need to change that. That's fine. If that works for you, if you have some sort of, promise to your customers that a real person picks up within 20 seconds, guaranteed, right? Hey, that's great. We don't have to put an AI agent in front of that. But what we can do is make all of the back end stuff and all of the agent side stuff a lot more efficient. The biggest cost in a contact center is agent time, right? That's always going to be the biggest cost. The license, their cost of salary, those kind of things, right? So what can we do to save time? And that's where we can really dig into, efficiencies in level 1. So from the day you had the very first agent in the world, you had something called an after call wrap up time. And so it's going to be a set amount of time, whether it's 30 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever it is for your business, where the agent is sitting there, they're taking all their notes that they transcribed by hand during that phone call, and then they're uploading them into, your shared note system, your CRM, and standardize them. So they look right. Maybe they have some after call work to take care of, right? I got to go print this out, fax this, whatever, update a record. Well, now with auto call summarization, you can have your AI assistant listen to that entire call without changing anything about the interaction. And then as soon as that call is done, it pops up, here's the notes from the call. Here's everything that took place. Even if there's some next steps or next actions, they could put reminders in your systems, and then it can automatically upload that to your CRM, potentially saving a minute, 2 minutes, whatever it is off of your after call wrap up time, so that one, your agent doesn't have to do that, because that's very annoying to have to write all that stuff out. And frankly, every agent takes notes differently. So this is standardize them. And then it allows them to get back on the phone and start taking care of customers that much faster. So there's not a reason that you can't take advantage of that right now, even if you are a level 1 contact center. It's not changing anything about the routing or the customer experience, the caller experience. It is all about how can that agent become more efficient. There are other things like next best action or frequently asked questions. Maybe we tie into a knowledge base, right? Especially if you're looking at something like a service desk, you're going to have a really extensive knowledge base on how to accomplish things. Well, what if you have an AI assistant looking in and listening to what the customer is saying, and then it can bring up that article, right? Oh, what's my current mortgage rate, or what's the process to unlock this issue on my PC, right? It can bring that article to the forefront, so you don't have to hear the biggest lie in contact centers, which is, oh, the system's running a little slow today. The system's not running slow. They're jumping back and forth between 10 different windows to try to find the answer for you, right? And so you can avoid that because the AI system can pop that right to you. So again, faster time to answer that problem. And so then you can get off that call and back onto another one.
The next transition would be moving past level 2. And I was kind of calling this smart self-service. Where are you seeing AI really start to drive opportunities in this area?
AI is really helping organizations become more dynamic with their engagement with the customer on the front end, beyond static one-fits-all menu or one-fits-all menus. For example, voice bots that understand natural language, they can listen to customers based on what their prompts are and understanding them in their own words. But the value, at least from a customer perspective, is being heard and understood, and their requests being triaged appropriately based off what they've told that bot. I think everyone knows someone who has little to no patience with voice bots. You're still going to have people who press 0, and unfortunately, that may or may not help you. But understanding, like, getting through the IVR quicker based off the knowledge and the AI that's feeding into that bot is pivotal. On the digital side, you have chatbots who are leveraging AI to guide customers through mundane tasks, like we mentioned earlier, like a password reset. Having that context to understand how to provide that assistance to the customer is where they're kind of inserting AI to support that. And then overall in this phase, I think AI is helping customer engagements become more user-friendly and just smarter overall.
When I think about sentiment analysis, that happens a lot with this. You want to know, is there another something someone's trying to tell you in between the words, based on not just the words, the tone of voice, speed of the talking, dynamics and things like this. So I know we're not just looking at the transcript and running it through AI. You guys, your industry is full of tools that are also monitoring a couple other things there too.
Sentiment analysis is something that would be effectively available to you as soon as you get a voice into your system. So that could be a level 1 and all the way up. And that can provide, because you're right, it is more than just, oh, these are the words that were said, right? It's the context in which they were said and the tone of voice. And so you can, run all kinds of analysis on those. So it's like, were they upset here? Was this a pain point? Was there a lull in conversation? Was my agent happy? Was my agent rude, right? Or was the caller happy or unhappy? Or where did there seem to be a frustration point? And you can run the report not just on a call, but then across your calls. So you can see now, oh, it seems to be that every time someone enters or says these couple key words or tries to go down this process, there's a huge pain. Let's look at that process. Is the issue because we're not giving them the tools that they need to succeed to get first call resolution? Or is it the process itself that we're doing, or we're not giving maybe our agents the tools to be able, and they say the dreaded words of, oh, I'm going to have to transfer you to a different department. It allows you to get a lot more introspective on your own processes and experiences as well, not just from the caller standpoint, right? Just because it's called caller sentiment doesn't mean they're the only person that you're talking about. Maybe the problem is, coming from inside the house. So it gives you a lot of insights there. Going with that, auto QM, right? So right now for quality management, an organization typically manually listens to 3%, maybe 5%, if you have a lot of people, of all of your calls. That's just a random sampling, right? You have no idea if you're missing huge swaths of bad calls or good calls. Auto QM can take that same kind of intelligence and go through and automatically provide quality management for everything, give sentiment analysis, give you feedback on anything from, hey, this is how many times someone mentioned our marketing campaign, to this is how many times people threatened to, cancel service because of one reason or another. So it's giving you a lot of really interesting insights into, again, existing processes that you're already using today and allowing you to update, potentially change them.
Moving past level 3, talking about what I call cross-channel intelligence, how would you explain AI affecting what's happening in this area?
So this is becoming much more kind of expected, and that's multi-channel. And so certainly, traditionally everything was done by voice. Maybe you have some chatbot, maybe you have some emails, but now everything is going to be, it's going to be digital, it's going to be SMS, it's going to be Apple Business Page, Facebook Messenger, whatever channel you're talking about, the contact center needs to be there to meet that. And you're going to need some sort of intelligence across those channels so they don't seem siloed off. So you don't do the whole, okay, I got to the end of this text message, conversation, and it just said, call this number. And then I call that number and it has no idea what I'm talking about, and you start over. So you can use some AI and automation to kind of bridge those gaps and bring those interactions together. While they might not be seamless, at least there's some sort of record of them or that can be referenced. So you can say, oh, I see that you were on this text message, and then you had this email. So I can, understand as the agent when you finally do get to me what you're trying to do, and then understand it. I don't necessarily have to say, thanks for calling, how can I help you? Right? It's you're not starting at square one, which again is one of the most frustrating things you get in a contact center environment. So again, uplifting the processes that already exist with intelligence that you might already have through a different interaction and just isn't displayed or shared properly. Yeah. So how can you bridge that gap within your own internal processes? It's very common that the different channels might be driven by different groups or different teams, right? Maybe your primary SMS campaigns are run by your marketing department, right? And that has nothing to do with your contact center environment, or at least your customer support element. But let's tie those into our contact center environment, that we have reporting across the board. They don't go out and buy a solution that, that they Googled it and said, oh, this is the right one for us, and click buy, right? Let's make them part of the strategy. And then we can provide not just intelligence to what they're doing, but then also selfishly bring them into the fold of what we're trying to accomplish, get data on it, and then have insights on what we're whether we're being successful, number one, and then how can we improve our processes. Moving past level 4 to what I'm calling proactive engagement, Morgan, this one is exciting to me. I feel like this is a big change. Is this where we're starting to get more strategic with our contact center environments?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is where AI becomes a strategic driver. From multi-channel to omni-channel, you have all that context of where a customer's been and why they're reaching out to you. But you can also have that proactive engagement to understand why you would need to engage with them too. When you're blending, while you might have what Patrick mentioned, one team or one line of business might have a certain relationship with the customer. Another, for example, customer service might have a different relationship with that customer. That one customer is having multiple relationships with you, or one relationship with you, vice versa. And then that brand is having multiple relationships with the customer. And it's very disjointed. When you blend all those engagements and all of that together, ultimately you have a better understanding of your customer base from macro level, but also from a micro level, and your ability to practically engage with them based off where they are with you in the brand. So if someone has high buyer intent, you're able to capture that, but you're also able to anticipate the customer's needs. There are low-hanging fruit use cases with Gen AI within the contact center, specifically to deliver very robust and almost human-like conversations. There's a very dynamic demo that one of our OEMs that displays very frequently that I do quite like, where a customer is engaging with a natural language bot to change their flight, right? The airline proactively called them, so we understand that you might be experiencing a delay, or you had a cancellation, or you looking to rebook your flight. And all the parameters that are in place to understand what that voice agent can and cannot do is in place, right? So those guardrails, there's rules, there's regulations, there's things that the demo goes all the way to say, can you help book a taxi for me from the airport? And I say, no, I can't. But rerouting the customer to going back and triaging the ticket issue. That's where customers are seeing, this is what AI means whenever I'm deploying or evaluating AI, and I'm not there yet. But that is where a lot of the cool and dynamic use cases can be, and where you can see a lot of like flashy use cases and outcomes. But going back to our chart of today, we're here to leverage AI across the broader maturity curve. But also when you're in this part of the maturity curve engagement, when you have omni-channel experiences and you have that context with customers, you're building loyalty and trust. You're proactively engaging with them on more robust channels, and you're giving your agents more time to triage more complex issues while their customers are engaging in more digital channels where they want to be. Contact centers I know are not cost centers, but more revenue generators.
I used to be in customer service. I used to oversee a hotel, and we had a PBX, and we had inbound and outbound and different things there. And of course, everything else that comes with a hotel. Customer service records and everything was always something I wish we had more of, because I just knew as soon as a guest expressed some specific concern to the one desk agent, we weren't capturing that very easily in any way that could then be found by someone else so it could be used. And we knew that was the case. You know, we had loyalty programs to try and help drive some of that information for a select set, perhaps, of people that were returned. But I'm also thinking back to, we have this metric, and I'm wondering how much in place it is still now, about, some organizations have, a set time they want you to get off the call. You got to churn and burn through a certain number per, hour or something like that. Was that a metric maybe was set by the fact that you didn't have as many tools maybe to isolate if that was a good thing to do in any given situation or not? Now, maybe we don't have to lean so heavily on drastic or barbaric kind of measures.
That's a great question there, Rob, because that used to be absolutely a thing when you had no idea what calls were coming in. You had no intelligence. You just knew that calls were coming in and we have to handle them, right? No matter what it is. So those are the kind of things that we can absolutely help with now. So those weren't, I don't think you would consider those intelligent interactions. They were interactions, but they weren't intelligent, right? And they were trying to get you off the phone as quickly as possible, not to resolve them, but to just say they were handled because of some arbitrary service level time that was decided upon. So now you can be a lot more intelligent with it. And some of those won't even get to our agents anymore. We use the example of the service desk. If we can get 80% of our password resets taken care of by a self-service bot, or sends you a link in your email or something like that, you don't have to talk to an agent. Your service desk team can now actually focus on the things that they want to do, like, oh, let's improve this, or let's go ahead and do that. Or when someone calls in and has a really complicated issue, you don't care that it's taking up an hour of your time, because that's your job, to help them with that complex issue. The phone's not necessarily ringing off the hook with all these people who need 30-second fixes, right? They're taken care of. So you can actually focus on the things that you're trying to accomplish, and you can shift towards an intelligent contact center as opposed to a reactive one.
You're making me think quality of life for the agents themselves.
Absolutely.
And, because the people that are, especially if they're in this as a career, they probably like helping people. They want to be able to do the right thing and have access the right tools at the right moment and do a better job, because that gives them that dopamine hit.
No one likes to be screamed at all day, So if we can take that off their plate, that's certainly a positive side effect. But that last level that Morgan was just talking about, that level 4, where you're kind of going across channels and there's intelligence communication, that's the expectation of the general public now. So even if you're accomplishing a lot of the things we talked in level 1 through 3, the general public expects, oh yeah, there's some intelligent stuff going on there where it knows everything I'm doing, right? We know that that's not necessarily the case, but that's the expectation. So so the customer is expecting that, oh, my flight was delayed, and I'm coming into my hotel late, and you should have, X, Y, and Z ready for me. People don't know that, right? Why would they know that unless they're looking for those things? But you're only looking for those things if you're looking at it across every channel. You're sharing data between all the different teams and groups, and proactively letting them know this is an update to information that we had before, adjust accordingly. That's what people expect. Whether or not we can deliver it is a different thing. Whether or not we want to deliver it, because that's your business model. But that's kind of where people are thinking. If you watch something on a movie or TV show, all the brands are certainly acting like that, right? They're reaching out. It's easy to do. Oh, let me just log in real quick and text this thing, and everything's fine. No one's sitting on a customer service call re-entering their information on a TV show, right? It's all taken care of. It's all automatic.
We've reached the pinnacle of this, which is level 5. And we can't talk about transitioning above level 5, because as it's currently defined, you've reached the mountain. Governance was coming up, I think, for the first time at this degree. And obviously all these levels encompass everything below it as well. But there's a certain level of kind of, I feel like with this level where you've got kind of a full circle set of capabilities that are feeding each other, to be self-sustaining, and governance is a big part of that.
If you're at a level 5, you're going to have a lot of ownership over a lot of these channels, a lot of these tools. You're not just implementing something necessarily in a small box that's that's pretty well limited. These are going to be very complex and data intensive kind of interactions, and that needs a lot of maintenance. Your interaction is only as good as what you're putting into it. So if something changes, or maybe there's a use case difference, or maybe an acronym changes, right? The jargon changes that people are calling in with because there's a new loyalty program when you have to go through and update everything, right? Your back-end systems that you're talking to, the data you're agreeing with, are constantly being updated. And so you're going to have to continually maintain this for it to still maintain that high level of service. So any kind of governance of what data are we putting in, what are we attaching to it to make these decisions, to make it feel seamless and intelligent, that has to be go through rigorous process. Because you can't just throw anything in there, right? You can't just throw any snippet of any interaction in there without expecting it to update and change if it's as intelligent as he says it. It has to be curated information that is going to be meaningful.
It's never a fire and forget. There's constant iteration with new inputs that cause us to reevaluate how we're doing things and improve those processes, and kind of having almost a center of excellence. How do we continue to maximize this to maintain our ability to stay ahead of our competition, to outpace, to keep our people healthy, reduce our turnover, whatever it may be?
Right. Absolutely. You constantly have to be, maintaining it, because you're not going to say, okay, this is our best in the world, process and procedure list here. We're done. Right. That's constantly going to be iterated. So of course the tools that are going to be, underlying that are going to be constantly updated, iterated upon as well. What we're actually seeing a lot, and this is getting more into the, more AI focus opposed to AI and contact center, but a lot of large enterprises that we're working with are developing their own LLMs because they are worried about that data governance. And they don't want to just go and use an open source LLM. And that's where you get the headlines where it says, oh, Google told my child to blah, 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 right? Well, that's because it's probably using an open source thing. Whereas if we're talking to a financial institution or a healthcare, corporation, they want the answer to be exactly what they want it to be. So they're going to make sure that they maintain that data so that they know the answer. Pulling from a lot of different data sources, you're going to get different answers just because of the way the system is designed. So a lot of companies are really, really, really concerned about who has access to this data and what is it looking at, because we don't want to have the $1 airline ticket sold, right? No one wants that.
Yeah.
They want consistent answers.
Data sovereignty. It's coming up so much more now. Controlling your data and all this valuable information that you are potentially generating for your business to run more efficiently is extremely valuable to others, your competitors, people that just want to disrupt lives, whatever it may be. Protect that data in the same way you want to protect it and massage it for your own outcomes that you've defined, but you also want to protect it so that you're not just serving it up for someone else to do something egregious with.
This is the relationship that you have with your customer. If someone calls in or talks to a bot, that's the same as if they go to the website or say they advertise. This is their relationship to you. So you wouldn't put out an advertisement, on a billboard without approving it. Why would you have some AI agent out there answering a question that you haven't approved or following a process in a certain way, right? So it's controlling your data and maintaining that relationship with your customers.
Which makes me wonder about the ability for a supervisor to barge into a call and listen in, for relations. And can we do that with a bot? Has anybody coming out with tools or capabilities to actually monitor that as it's happening? Or would you want to?
We haven't run into that use case yet, but we're gonna. Maybe you get a rogue bot that's saying something you don't want, and to avoid that $1 plane ticket, we say, oh, wait a second, that's against our policy. Let's route this to an agent. If you look at how these things are created and coded, it's a lot of if-then kind of statements. And so if they say it's, you have to monitor what the output is as well. And if you don't like the output from the bot, you can absolutely escalate that.
So final question, what's one thing you wish maybe leaders understood about AI in the contact center? Maybe you haven't answered the same question a lot or explained the same things over again. What's important to understand and remember here?
AI is not a magic wand, right? It's something that helps enhance what's already working. Organizations need to have, I call 3 pillars: solid foundations, clean data, clean workflows, and well-defined goals. We have defined goals of what you're trying to accomplish within your contact center, apply certain use cases. we can absolutely deliver that, but you have to have some direction, right? But you also have to have a solid foundation. And it's not going to enhance something that's not working well today. You need to have, well, I like to say, your house in order.
Same thing we said with automation. We're purely talking about that topic is automating your way to failure faster. AI is certainly helping that part happen, I think, in many ways. If you're not clear on what you're feeding it and what you're expecting out of it, you're going to get something. That's one nice thing about AI is you'll always get something back. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be what you want.
I think this is not a technology decision. This is a business decision, right? What are your outcomes? What are your processes? We need to understand where we're trying to go. You don't want to be the person with the $17 million purchase to know where to use it, right? You want to understand the processes that you're trying to achieve and then use AI to support those and uplift those and make them more efficient. It's not replace, it's not fix. It is the business outcome. You cannot IT your way out of this. If you just buy a bunch of stuff and throw it at the problem, it's not going to go away. You have to have an understanding of what your contact centers do and how they interact with your customers. So don't leave those teams out of the conversation. We see that time and time again. IT is going to go and make a decision, say, we bought this fancy new thing, it's very expensive. But they didn't talk to their business partners over in contact center. The contact center people aren't going to be able to tell you what an LLM is or how to use it, but they are going to tell you what they want their outcomes to be. And so only by working together are you going to be successful.
Very good point. As new as everything is, some of the lessons I feel like are some of the same ones with just different attachments to them that we've been delivering for years. How often is a group has invested in something and no one talked to IT to find out if the servers had a place or if anyone even had spare servers or whatever the case was. Well, guys, thank you. I always enjoy getting back with you and catching up on what's happening here. And I agree with your decisions on saying, hey, you know what? The maturity curve is not changing in fundamental ways. AI is huge. I like your point. It's not magic. I was thinking it's not magic, although I would say it is magical. So those two things can get confusing. I'm going to have to coin that term, I think.
I like that. That's good. Put it on a t-shirt.
Well, that $17 million AI purchase from the opening, it actually worked out, right? Once that executive connected with the contact center team, they found plenty of ways to put that investment to work. So happy ending. Good? Well, it would have been a lot smoother if they'd started with business outcomes first, understanding where their agents were spending time, what their customers expected, and which processes needed the most help. And that's really the key takeaway here. AI in the contact center isn't about reaching some advanced level of maturity first. It's about identifying your business goals and then using AI to make your existing processes more efficient. Whether you're at level 1 with basic voice calling or level 5 with full omni-channel intelligence, there are AI capabilities that can help you today. The question isn't, are we ready for AI? It's, what do we want AI to help us accomplish? As Patrick reminded us,
this is not a technology
decision, it's a
decision.
business
This is a
decision.
business decision.
And as Morgan emphasized, you need solid foundations.
AI is only as good as the foundations and the workflows that it's built upon.
You need clean data.
Organizations that are focused on breaking down data silos,
You need well-defined goals
and really enhancing their foundational workflows.
for AI to deliver real value. Well, as always, I encourage you to download Worldwide Technology's updated contact center maturity model, where it breaks down specific AI applications at each level and gives you actionable steps to move forward. Well, don't hesitate to connect with their contact center experts. Ask about a custom workshop tailored to your specific needs and goals. They have a lot of options. I want to thank you for sticking with us here to the end. My name is Robb Boyd. We'll see you on the next one.
This episode is supported by Infoblox. Infoblox provides robust DNS, DHCP, and IP address management solutions to enhance network reliability and security. Optimize your network infrastructure with Infoblox's comprehensive DDI platform.